Hi Thomas, thanks for your question. It may well be fine, but let's look at this in a bit more detail. You may well have lots of stairs and Bob may not be that fit. But if he has got breathlessness, it's probably good for him to go to his GP and be seen. And there are lots of causes for breathlessness. The other thing is there's lots of symptoms here that are also important. For example, if Bob has chest pain, particularly if he has chest pain when he's sitting at rest or when he's walking up the stairs. And again, if that's the case, get him to go and see his GP and then don't have sex until that's sorted out. So Bob might get a bit of short breath going up the stairs. Let's have a think about how much energy you use when you're having sexual intercourse. It might be a bit less than you think. So there's a standard way that you measure the energy you use or the workload when you're doing all activities. And these are measured in what we call METs, metabolic equivalents of energy. Now, when you're lying down, doing nothing, sitting in the chair, resting, what we call the resting state, you're using 1 MET of energy. And all other activities are compared to this resting state. So for example, you might use 4 METs of energy doing a particular activity. So before we get on to sex, let's have a think how much energy we all use for certain daily activities. Some things on this list are a bit more common than others. So for example, playing the accordion uses 1.8 METs. Fast ballroom dancing, 5.5 METs. Playing squash, 12.1 METs. Unloading and loading the car, about 3 METs. Mopping the floor, 3.5 METs. Mowing the lawn with a power mower, 4.5 METs. General gardening, about 4 METs. Taking out the bin, 3 METs, and walking up the stairs, 4.7 METs. Now let's look at the data for METs used during sex. Interestingly, but not surprisingly, the amount of METs used differs depending on different scenarios. And as far as I'm aware, most of this research has been on heterosexual couples. For those in a long-standing relationship, sexual intercourse is associated with a workload of about 2 to 3 METs before orgasm and about 3 to 4 during orgasm. In the literature, younger couples have been described as being possibly a bit more vigorous, using about 5 to 6 METs during sex. Research shows that the average length of time for sex is about 5 to 15 minutes. So for those in a long relationship who are sexually comfortable with each other, it's not really much of an extreme or sustained strain on your heart. However, sex for those having a casual partner may be more physically exerting if they're physically fit and sexually fit. The worry that lots of patients have, and or their partners, is whether they're going to get chest pain, have a heart attack or die during sex. And I think this is one of the things the questioner is worrying about. So let's look at some statistics on this. For example, a 50-year-old has an average risk of having a heart attack of about 1%. If he has sex once a week, this increases to 1.01%. And if he's had a heart attack before, it only increases to 1.1%. So a very small increase. And I can reassure you that death during sex is really rare. There have been 3 large studies looking at this, and in all 3 studies, the rates of death during sex were really low. So by way of example, in Japan, 0.6% of all deaths were related to sex. In Berlin, this was 1.7%, and 0.16% in Frankfurt. Interestingly, 75% of these deaths were in extramarital sex, and in 82 to 93% of these cases, they were men that died. And indeed, the most common scenario here was an older man and a younger woman. Hopefully that's answered your question, Thomas. So if Bob can take out the bin and mop the floor, then he's probably fit enough to have sex with you. Thank you very much for watching. Please do send in your questions by the comments section below, and please do watch our other videos. Thank you.